All right, why don't we get started? Just as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, so we'll stay on topic and on agenda. And if there's anything that needs to be discussed outside the meeting, we can talk about that afterwards. Okay, why don't we start the meeting? Call the meeting to order at 7:01. I'll take a motion to accept the secretary's report.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Cindy. Discussion? I said all those in favor. I love discussion. We'll have discussion.
Kevin,
Yes.
is Jeff with us? I don't see that.
Yep.
All right, good.
Easy.
Yeah, I'm here.
Otherwise, we'd have you take the notes, Tim.
Yeah.
That was the problem.
Yeah, his name is there.
Okay.
I'm here.
Any questions, comments on the secretary's report? Once, twice. Seeing no questions, all those in favor, I will go around the room. Please say aye. Amy,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Jeff. We can't hear you, Jeff, but you can put something in the chat if you want.
Aye.
Well, there you go. We got it. All right.
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Barely. You're coming in very scrambled.
Hello?
You're coming in very scrambled.
Bugged off.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the monthly staff reports?
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right. Laura, second.
Second.
Tim, discussion. Excuse me, discussion.
Catherine, I just had a question. You mentioned in here that you accepted a member at large position on the Noble Executive Board.
Yeah.
Oh, you sound so excited.
Well, it's easier to not be on the executive board because they do all the legwork and you kind of just, oh yeah, you just vote at the end after it's all presented to you. So being part of the board, you're going to do a little bit of the legwork up front. But the advantage to it, it's not a tremendous amount of work. And the advantage to it is that you're kind of leading the direction. Everybody's going to vote ultimately, but it's the executive board who's kind of leading the direction where resources might go. So.
Okay. And how many people are on the executive board?
It's I want to say 7 or 8.
Okay.
Not,
It's probably got to be an odd number, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I was just.
yes. Oh, yes. It's probably an odd number. Yeah, and it includes members of Noble, but they don't vote. They just are there, which is why I'm not really sure how many people.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
I was
rough number. I'll get the exact numbers for the next report.
Yeah. Okay. Will they meet monthly?
It's not even monthly.
Okay,
It's sort of quarterly. There's some parts of the year where there'll be more, and then other parts of the year there'll be fewer meetings. And then anything that comes up, we would be called to handle anything that if there might be, business that they didn't prepare for that just comes up.
okay. Yeah, I was just curious about it. All right, thanks.
I'm a little more curious too, and I've only been to one meeting, so I'll probably find out more as I do it.
Okay.
I'd like to know more about the digital trustee resource binders.
Well, so everyone gets you probably don't remember this, Cindy, but new trustees get a binder.
Oh, yes, I have one.
Yes, and so we're moving away from the binder, and we want to see if we can get it all in a digital file.
Marvelous.
So right now I'm putting together things on Google Drive, because those things will update. And if you have links to MBLC and everything,
yeah.
all of that is updated. Whereas the static binder is, sometimes I open it and the politicians in there who are no longer our representatives, and all that information changes. So.
Okay, terrific, like that.
Yeah, we'll see how that works.
Yeah, we just got something from the MBLC too about a download of was it the trustee
Pocket handbook.
Pocket handbook, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which they had printed before, because I think Adam and may have had and Laura came at the same time. They may have got hard copies because they had given us hard copies of that, but now it's digital as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question that would be for Jackie, but she's not here. But maybe Catherine, why have there been, and this was in last month's report as well, and perhaps earlier, but I didn't catch it. Why are there 2 reference department meetings a week, whereas there's only 1 circulation or 1 children's meeting a week?
They talk about 2 different things with reference.
Oh,
and,
okay.
and I don't know. So I think they tend to be shorter meetings. They have 2 different, and maybe not even everybody attends them. I don't go to them, so I don't know. I just get the results afterwards.
So there's a different focus to each of the 2 meetings.
There's a different focus to each of the meetings.
Okay, that just wasn't clear. Thank you. And my other question is Annie in Youth Services evidently does not have an MLS, and I wasn't aware of that. She's in her 2nd year of the MLS program right now.
Yes.
2nd semester.
Yes.
So she has a bachelor's?
She has a master's in children's literature.
Oh, okay. I was wondering how we hired her without the MLS.
So she was working at Danvers and in Wakefield part-time. And then when everything opened up, by the time a full-time position opened up, she was already enrolled in grad school, in library school.
Okay.
But when she came to us part-time, I knew she had a master's in children's literature, which is really what we wanted.
Sure.
Because that's a fantastic resource.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And also what I did not know, and it was in her resume and I knew it, but it was just in the back of my head. She speaks Spanish. So she is now doing Spanish story times.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, she speaks Spanish. It's not just, the way I speak French.
Probably me too.
So, yeah. So
because we never see their resumes. You hire them, and all we see for the credentials is what shows up in the annual personnel part of the budget. That their name may be followed by a couple of letters, letting us know
Right.
that they have a degree.
Right.
So that just slipped by me until this month's report. I'm like, whoa, what?
Yeah, if someone is hired without a degree, because there have been staff who are not degreed, and they come in at an L8, I think it is, and then they go to an L9 once they have a degree.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question about, says you consulted with Cheryl about seating for the young adult area. I haven't obviously been in the building in forever. The last time I remember being downstairs, the purple wall was painted and we had talked about, you were gonna do like desks and I think Apple, like Mac computers maybe, and talking about something for like a technical area for the young adults. Is that
So that didn't fly with the young adults.
okay?
If they want the equipment, they won't want it tethered to a desk.
Oh,
And if they want something like they use at the high school, the Macs that do graphic design, if they want something like that, it would only be a single one. So that would probably be in the digital media lab for the people who, and we would just let everybody use it because there probably won't be enough demand. So there's more demand for just places to hang out. So the purple wall is gone. That's now painted the same color as the rest of the room.
Mhm.
And there are 3 sofas there now. And I don't remember if you recall, we had a consultant from Boston Public Library from the Youth Services. That was about a year ago.
yeah.
She came in from Youth Services and she talked about, she specifically does young adults. And she showed us some of the research that they had. And, it's a different age group and it's difficult to know. They're growing at a different, it's very different. Teenagers are just
Oh,
very,
I live with yeah.
yeah. So what we're looking at is soft seating that does not have arms. And you'll be able to move it. So they're like individual chairs,
Mhm.
but you can push them together or put them in a circle, or you can do a lot of things with them. They really need things that they can throw their bodies across without having someone say, don't do that to the furniture.
Don't sit on the arm.
Yeah, don't sit on the arm.
destroy it.
And what they we used to have were pillows that they could put on the floor, but nobody ever really used those. So this is kind of a, it's an in-between kind of thing. And the furniture that's there now, the upholstery is so bad, it's ripped right through. And the frame is just not worth the cost of reupholstery. Because we looked at,
The would have been like the digital area is now going to be seating for young adult.
it's going to be seating. There may be one Carol there. We'll have plenty of time to decide that. And these children change over time too. So this will be very flexible. If we decide we have an influx of kids who play board games and they need a big table, we can move that around. Nothing will be permanently placed. So it'll be a little flexible. But right now it's the seating with the high top tables.
Okay.
Those are very popular, those high top tables.
Yeah, we use those a lot when we're down there.
And the high top tables will be closest to the children's desk because it will give a visual barrier between adults and young adults. So they're still in a public place, but they have a little more sense of privacy because those tables are high.
Right. But at that age, not too private.
Oh, exactly. I know.
Um,
It's still a public building, so you're still in a public building.
My other question was the 2 leaks. I switched tabs here. So there's 2 more roof leaks, but are they fixed or?
Yeah, one of them Dave found. He hasn't really been able to go up and find them because the weather hasn't been right for that. And they're not terrible. So he thinks they're very similar to what we've had, the tiny holes that are hard to see. And it's kind of like a sieve.
Mhm.
So it's coming through. But there's space in my office that he found it and fixed it. And now we're seeing just a little bit of water there. So he thinks there's more there as well. So that's, the roof is on our radar. It's not getting any younger.
What's the timeline? Have we talked about this as far as like total roof replacement? Or is that?
It's been on the capital budget for a very long time. And last year I spoke to the capital committee about it. So it's sort of like a placeholder for $250,000. And it's currently on that budget, which I think is in this packet. for next-
2023,
Is it for next year or the year after?
2023, yeah.
Okay, so next year is 22, and it would be the year after. So next year, we've asked for carpet, and the year after that would be for the roof. And it's looking like that's something we're really gonna have to talk about.
All right, just thinking in terms of like when I clean my house, I clean from the top down. You know, you clean the counters before you clean the floors. Is the roof so bad that we are going to put in, you know, $200,000 of new carpet, and then like, does it make sense to do the roof before the carpet?
No,
Okay.
I'm not worried about the carpet, I'm worried about the books.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So we do the roof first before the carpet.
so far, you know, we have seen where we have had people, professionals up there doing work, especially around the edges. Last year, they had done some work up there. So, and the DPW has told us that they will help us with it. We don't have to, you know, hire out an enormous project. They're watching it with us as time goes on. But I think we're to the point now that it does need, I'm not going to move that to another year. It's the year after next is going to be the year.
Since it's budgeted for FY23, is it possible that it could happen in like the first half of that year, like summer 22, fall 20? Just because we just redid the roof at my building, and you know, there's a certain time of year where you want to.
You have to do it in a certain time of year, I would think. Yeah. And we will have planned a year in advance for it. So
So I'd like to piggyback on that, because I was going to bring it up during the capital budget request, but on the roof line in the capital budget, you have written, Catherine, maintenance by DPW. And I was going to ask you, what does that mean? Does that mean they go up there to shovel off snow? Do they fix leaks? Because we've had Dave do that. What does that line mean?
A lot of times Dave does it with materials that have been bought and paid for by DPW. What it means is that the money is not in this budget. It's covered by the DPW.
Okay.
So there's really not money. It's the maintenance. It's not in the regular budget.
Okay.
And it's not, if it's not given to us as capital, the maintenance is being assumed by DPW.
Okay.
Do they do a chargeback, Catherine? To you? To our
No,
budget? No, they don't do a chargeback.
No.
Okay.
but they have done things before, and I've had the money in the budget because a lot of times we've been saving on utilities. So if I have it, I will pay it. Especially, like, you know, if it's the end of the year and the money's there. That has happened.
I had a question about the website. So I know that looks like significant hours have been spent and content and things like that. So I guess two questions. One is, I forget what we allocated for money for the thing. Are we on budget for that? Or are we spending, we're well in budget?
We're fine.
Okay.
We're not being charged more time. It's just they've lost people. So I think 2 weeks ago, we had a plan that made me think we were going to be up by now. And we're still trying to get the work done. You know, we'll say what has to be done. They'll say, well, that's 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes, that's 15 minutes. And then 2 weeks go by and you're wondering, when are you going to put 15 minutes in on that? But they've lost a couple of people. And, you know, just between the pandemic and whatever has happened there, we can still see the site. We know what work's being done and it looks good and it should be ready to go. They're very close now Jackie spoke with them this week. And by next week, they'll be doing the accessibility.
Mhm.
They'll run that, whatever they do, to make sure that it conforms, which it should, because we've been talking about that all along. And we haven't seen anything that is a red flag. So once it's at that point, then it just has to go to Noble to get it onto the Noble server.
Are they going to do the accessibility, or are they going to third party that out to somebody else to do the accessibility audit?
They do it.
They do it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know how they do it, if they do it with a third party or if they do it. But it conforms to the requirements.
Walkhead.
Yeah.
Walkhead 2.2. I think it is now where it is.
Yeah, that's your
That's what I worry about.
bailiwick, isn't
So
it?
yeah. So so are they? And so have they given you a timeline of when they're going to get this done, or like deliverables to say, okay, like here it is, and the statement of work, and then like all the stuff that you would expect.
I had all of that. It
Yeah.
it was a multi-page document. We both signed it and we agreed to it. And the whole path was laid out, and it was supposed to be done in October.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay.
It just went on. And for a while we weren't hearing anything. And then our project manager checked in on a Friday and said she would be gone on Monday, that she was done there. She was moving on. And it was all very nice. But so then somebody else had to pick it up, and we sort of had to go through the whole thing again. And
Okay.
I don't know. Some of the developers have been different. The developers have turned over.
How much more do we owe them? Do we know how much more money do we owe?
We pay by the time, and
Okay.
they bill us
Okay.
monthly. So
Okay.
I haven't had a bill in forever because they're not working.
How far now, percentage wise, how far do you think are they 80% done? 60% done?
I think they're 95%.
Oh, okay.
I
All right.
think that, yeah, I think they're
That's
very,
good.
very close. It's just
Okay.
everything. And that's what's so frustrating at this point, is that they are very close.
Yeah.
So what, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well, I was
this-
gonna say if they're only like 40% done, it's like I just cut them loose and just get someone else at this point. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not a good pattern that they're doing this, because it sounds like they're going to continue to. It sounds like they would continue to kind of churn and dribs and drabs and whatever. But if they're 95% there, just
yeah,
put it over the goal line at this point.
yeah, the only reason I'm not too nervous about it is that it's on my desktop. I can see it.
Mhm.
So I go in and I can see what they've done.
How's it look? How's the quality of the work? Never mind.
It looks really good. It's very minimalist. The front page, I think, if you recall, I had shown you what
Yeah.
the page was like. That's the busiest page. The rest of it is very minimalist.
And they're not going to service this, right? Are they going to? Do
No.
we keep them on to service it? No. Okay.
No,
Actually host it.
all
Okay.
they do, really, the most important thing they do is design it
Design. Okay.
and give us their expertise about what users expect and how they work, because everybody in the library has an opinion, and we need to outsource the opinion. So, everybody wants a different picture, everybody wants a different font, everybody does it a different way.
Mhm.
So this was a company who was able to tell us, given different learning styles, given what happens across the internet and what people come to expect.
Yeah.
They chose all those things for us, or directed us in different ways.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I thought they had a good track record with other libraries to do this.
They
stuff,
had an
type of thing.
excellent track
Yeah.
record. They did the closest one is they did Reading.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're in the process of doing Newburyport right now. So there's still,
Make sure they don't ask you to put it as a reference.
Well, I know the woman from Newburyport, and I said to her, you know, you gotta be on them because I don't understand what's happening. She's a different project manager, so,
Okay.
but yeah, she
Okay.
got my advice.
Well, hopefully they'll get it over the goal line soon enough.
Yeah, I think so.
Catherine, I had a question. It might be a question for reference. Given kind of the discourse in town right now around the mascot and the logo question and everything, which I don't think we need to get into too much. Do we feel like the library has the resources and materials and everything that could help, you know, inform people about it, or do we have ebooks and things like that about the history of the
Yes,
local history?
we're doing something about that, and now it's not coming to my mind what it is.
We just got, Wakefield school families just got an email today with all the kind of background information history of it, including pictures from the yearbooks. And I was actually wondering if they'd worked with the library on that. It was pictures from the yearbooks and sort of the history of the logo and the mascot imagery and everything.
Yeah,
Part, was that with our reference department or no?
not that I know of, but Jeff does all kinds of things that I have no idea that I read about them in the report. You know, he talks to people all the time and he's doing stuff, but I think I would have heard about this. There was something else that that I was thinking about though, that had to do with this. And now I can't think what it was. And it had to do with partnering with somebody. Maybe it was the HRC. It's not coming to my mind. I'll think of it and I'll let you know.
Anybody else have anything? I just had one more thing, Catherine, the interesting reference question of the month. I think that's a good example. If we needed any examples to tell people we're just a place where you get books, this is a good example of we're not just that, where we do much more than that, you know? It's really like if we ever get questioned by, you know, any of the boards or even patrons about, you know, you guys, what do you do other than books? You know, there's a whole host of things, but this is like a good, quick hit example of how you can say we're much more than that. And, you know, we should keep it sort of in our back pocket if we're asked. So I think it's great.
Yeah, it's also why you can't rely solely on self-service. So you can, there's all kinds of ways that you can automatically print things and have it sent. But this person really needed a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
And I think really he needed to tell somebody this is what the situation is, because it's just a human connection, and somebody at the other end of the phone says, wow, that's something, you know, and not kind of have a little conversation about it. So it's nice to have self-service available, but it's really nice to have a person at the desk.
Yeah, and I just think it's like one of those situations where, you know, where do you go? Do you know what I mean? They have no idea where to go to. You're not going to call,
I know.
you know, the town hall, or, you know, or maybe you would, but, you know, like, is there anything available that's a municipal service that's free that you can use to kind of get this sort of very basic type of service done? You know, access to a computer, access to a printer that, you know, we all sort of take for granted, but there are many, many people within this community probably that don't have access to that kind of, you know, basic stuff. And so to have to have that be available to people, I think is terrific. And again, it just sort of goes beyond the sort of, you know, standard thinking that people may have of, you know, we're not just there to check in books, check out books, and you know, answer reference questions. We do provide you know, support services and other types of, you know, like notaries. I don't think a lot of people know about notaries. You know, like we can come here to do that. So again, I just think it's one of those great services that we provide that if we were asked to, you know, well, what do you do? This is one good thing that we can kind of use as a good example of that. So
Yeah.
Okay, I have nothing further. Does anyone else have any questions or comments on the reports? Okay, that being said, all is in favor, I'll go around the room. Amy,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Cindy,
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next up, public participation. I only see one person, Keith. I see that you're there. If you wanted to say anything, you're more than welcome to unmute and say something. If not, you can stay muted and just simply listen to the meeting if you'd like.
And Keith, I have your, if you can hear me, I
Yeah.
have your email address. So if you're going to come, if you would like to come to next month's meeting as well, or whether you come or not, I will send you the packet.
Okay,
So you'll have the documents that people are looking at.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I can. Can
Okay.
you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to be gone the last 3 weeks of March,
Okay.
I do keep in touch while I'm on the road. So
Okay.
would you please send me the
I
packets?
will. I will do that.
Thank you.
All right. Correspondence. I didn't see anything in the package for correspondence.
The MOU from the Friends
That came, yeah, that came
That
came
separately.
separate from the packet.
Separately, yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think that's gonna fall under items not reasonably anticipated.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was an email from the president of the Friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, committee reports, budget. Anything on budget other than what's been reported or said in the package?
No, the one thing about the budget is that the book budget still looks a little bit high. It's like $75,000 now, I think. We are going to spend that. We're behind.
Okay.
The materials are slowly coming. I probably have like $2,000 in science books that are being published in the next couple of months. So I think everybody's in that situation. So that money's going to get spent. It's just going a little slower this year than it did usually.
I have a question about, I think it was in Jackie's report that she mentioned like the purchasing books and specifically Overdrive books,
Mhm.
finish up series and things like that. Are we spending a lot more on digital books right now with, COVID? And I know everybody I know is downloading Hoopla Libby books. Are you
Yes.
using a higher percentage of the materials budget on that?
I don't know percentage wise where it is, and we'll have to talk about it. But she has told me she does have plenty of money left to spend, and will be spending some for children's materials for summer reading. Some of it will be for that. And we started a conversation about this because the whole price structure and everything is changing. And that's a hard collection to purchase for because now a lot of the items are in Hoopla.
Mhm.
So when you're weighing, what should we purchase? We have more than we expected to have. So she will occasionally go in and just buy everything that's on hold so that it will kill that hold list. Did that answer your question a little bit?
I mean, that's the materials budget, right? So can it also be used on other things? Like if you were going to do the max for the young adults or something, you know what I mean? Like if you have a surplus, are there wish list items, maybe more techy, more expensive, that this would be a time to?
Yes, we never have a surplus in 5511, which is books.
Right.
Because there's always something you can buy with that. And the way that the MBLC looks at that line item now, 10% of it can be spent on at devices as long as they're circulated to the public. So if we're circulating iPads, those could also be charged to that line item, which eventually we probably will, because people seem to like devices as opposed to sitting at a carrel with something that's tethered there. But there's always a hold list too. There are always materials. And then sometimes if it's a good year and we end up with more money than we thought, we might try a database. So this year we're trying History Makers, which is just phenomenal. It's a relatively new database, and it's oral history of Black Americans. And the history sections, it's really, really excellent. So we wouldn't be able to necessarily try those out unless we had extra money. So whenever we have a little extra, that's what we do. We'll try something new.
Okay. Building and grounds. You got anything, Tim?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't have anything of substance anyways.
Okay.
Hopefully by the next meeting I will.
Sounds good. Friends is me. So I attended the Friends meeting last month, and let's see. We're trying to increase membership because there was no book sale, so I think membership is down, so they're trying to increase that. The co-chair of the book sale, Ashley, had to leave unexpectedly, so I think they were going to be looking for another co-chair to help them with the book sale that I don't think has a date yet. I think they're kind of just still looking, right? Is that right, Cindy? Yeah. You're on mute, sorry.
She's moving in June.
She's moving in June. Okay. But there's no date for the sale yet, is there? Is it? Yeah. Okay. I didn't think so. Okay. They were trying to expand incentives to attract new members to the organization. They were doing a Valentine's Day package book fundraiser for gift packs. They approved the payphone, which after discussions with Catherine about the importance of keeping that maintained in the lobby. Let's see, they're doing a website fundraiser as well, and they may do a pop-up event at the Herd School when the weather gets better, and trying to figure out logistics with COVID and things like that, where things are in the summertime. Let's see. They talked about doing a literacy event as well, just some ideas, some type of contest involving a theme of library of the future, and then people having submit different types of media like TikToks or some other type of submission on the Library of the Future contest, which I thought was actually a pretty good idea, to try to draw on younger people and other family members and things like that. And that was about it. Next meeting is on March 4th, which I think Cindy will be going to. And they did briefly mention the MOU. And I did say that we had just begun preliminary discussions about the MOU at that time. So that's it. Friends, gift funds, anything other than what's been in the packets?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Legislative advocacy.
I sent out an email to everybody labeled, entitled, "It's Library Advocacy Time," and that should get in your email boxes yesterday. Catherine had sent out the legislative agenda last Friday, And this built upon that. And it also included the legislative breakfast date of April the 8th, which of course will be online, a Zoom event this year. So my email is kind of a mark your calendar, and you have the opportunity to look through the legislative agenda now. So whether you come to the legislative breakfast, or whether you write a letter or an email or go to office hours of our legislators, you're now prepared for it.
What legislators will be there, Cindy? Have they decided yet? Or is that-
I have not seen any details yet about the April 8th
Okay.
event. So in general, since they're having all of them online, I'm thinking they're going to be more similar than usual, but I haven't seen any details. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe next
Cindy.
month we'll know more.
Cindy, have we ever tried to engage the Friends with the advocacy, and whether it's just
Every
like a
year,
give-
yes, indeed.
Okay.
I email the Friends board with the same information that I email you guys when the legislative agenda materials come out. And I, encourage them as I can to reach out to the legislators. Yep.
Great.
And being that I'll be going off the board, that I've not pulled papers, somebody here has got to be stepping up and doing that. So.
I think Adam just volunteered.
Could be.
That's how this works. Okay. I'll go back on mute now.
Right, yeah. Don't ask a question again, Adam, like that.
We'll talk about it again in future months. I've got a couple more meetings yet.
Okay. Personnel, anything on personnel? No.
No.
Okay. All right. That's all for committee reports. New business, capital request status. We talked briefly about that already, but Catherine, why don't you?
I spoke with Joe Conway, who's the director of the DPW, and the capital planning committee had met, and they pretty much knew they recalled everything that we had talked about last year. And I had put notes on this so that they had to read it. And he said, unless I had anything else to tell them, and he kind of went through the things that we had discussed last year, if there was anything else, I really didn't need to pop into their meeting, that they were very inclined to support the priorities that were here for the carpeting. So, I don't think that's a done deal. I think that just means they're in agreement. Yes, the carpeting should be done. They agreed that last year. They'll agree to it this year, but then they have to look at the overall picture and see where that fits in against the other needs in the town. But proportionally, we should probably come up with something there. And I did split it up so that the main floor is separate from the gold room and the red room, so that if I could even just get the main floor, that would be terrific, because that is really taking a beating, and it's very old. So that
So
would
so that's 60,000. Is that what for FY?
so it's 60,000 in carpeting.
Yep.
40,000 for the main floor and 20,000 for the red and the gold rooms. And I still kept in the $10,000 for the exploring the stairs of the masonry on the stairs, which at some point may take a backseat to the roof. I don't know.
Yeah, I just noticed that's the same year as the roof. That's a big year. That's 250
well,
plus
it's because
120.
we just kept moving
I
it
know.
out, moving it out.
I know. So at that point, you have to figure out what's going to be priority. I would think the roof over the masonry, but depending on if there's more deterioration, I guess, of the
Or if something
steps.
happens and we can get it all.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I wouldn't
Okay.
count on it, but it would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's pending.
Catherine,
Yes.
just one question. The roof, the front roof, the main building,
Yeah.
what year did we do that? Do you know that year?
I thought it was all done at the same time at the renovation.
No, it wasn't. It was,
And then within the last few years, they did something along the edges.
no, I know that, but I think the front roof was done separate from the
Really?
renovation work. Yeah, that's my recollection. I gotta,
Wouldn't that
I'll
be
look
kind
and
of
talk-
difficult to do?
I'll look it up.
excuse me?
That would have been kind of difficult to do since half the building was off the back, no?
No, the roofs are existing. We didn't change. We did very little on the roofs during the renovation work. So the back, I believe, was done during the renovation because the front wasn't that old and they're completely distinct roofs. There's two different roofs up there. They don't intersect. So, but I can talk to you offline about that.
All right, because
Catherine.
I've been doing a little bit of a dive into some of that paperwork. I needed to find out some paint colors of the old building. And so I've ventured into some of those binders. So there's some things that that's probably one of the things I should dig out, see if I can find.
Well, it'd be, I just don't recollect the years. So I'd have to look at it, but I believe we did them at separate times, and the front roof, which is above your office,
Right.
is the oldest roof, I believe. So,
So then I guess the question is, so on the capital plan, that the two, is it 250? I forget. Whatever it is.
That was for all of it.
Is that
for
for
all
the
of it.
entire, the new, the old, like
That's
it's the
for both.
entire roof? That's for both.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
So
of-
could there be a scenario where they would then, split it and say, okay, the back one is, you don't seem to get any leaks in the back end, right? It's mostly in the front.
well, the back, if my recollection is the rear roof is as old as the renovation work, which is
Right.
about
94,
And-
right? So,
94.
Yep.
Which puts us at about the useful life of that roof.
Mhm.
Uh,
okay.
So it'd be nice to do them all at the same time.
Yeah, I
But if
agree.
it had to be, but if it had to be split, it could be split.
Okay.
If there's definitely, I've done lots of roofs, and we've done partial roofs many times. Because there's areas that are worse than others.
Yeah.
So-
In doing it, like you said, they're distinct enough that so that if you did work on the front part of it, let's say, it wouldn't have an adverse impact on the back or any else
No.
part of the roof. Yeah.
They're unrelated to each other, to be honest
Okay.
with you. The only thing is they're roofs, but
Yeah.
they don't intersect. They're
Okay.
at different levels even.
Yeah.
So, but I could talk offline to Catherine about that. But that would be good information to have, Catherine, if you
I
could
think
look
so.
it up. There should be some contract information on that first roof, the old roof, because we got state funding to partially pay for that, I remember. It was when I first started as a trustee, I believe. It's kind of my recollection, but my
And
my memory's not as good as it used to be.
when did you start?
My oldest was in kindergarten, I think, so. I don't know, that puts that roof at about 30 years.
Was that before you, Cindy?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I am the senior trustee, both in age and service. So, at any rate, that'd be good information to have, Catherine,
Yep.
all right? But I can talk to you offline.
Yeah, I'll dig that out.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can I ask
Okay.
a question? Oh, sorry, Kevin.
Go ahead.
Just to go back to the carpet, I mean, this is kind of a moot point, if, depending whether or not it gets approved. But I'm thinking about assuming it gets approved for FY22, and the realization, I think, based on when we were talking about this a year ago, that the library would have to be closed for a week or so for that. So it's like we're in this opportunity now where the library is already closed. I'm worried about like the reopening followed by
Close.
it's not yet. So I figured that was on your mind. So just something for consideration. If it is funded to do it,
Yeah.
before the
Yeah.
library opens. But we don't know when that will be anyways, but
That's
It
a
just-
good, that's
I
a,
would think-
yeah.
people from from a patron standpoint, they're going to be like,
Yeah.
right,
Why
maybe it's been closed all this time and now it's, even though it's like, well, there's no money to do it.
Right. Depending on how things fall out, I would talk to DPW about that. Are there any ways? how can this be done? If it's following fiscal years, we do, and everything's going to be different when we open. But we tend to be very, very quiet the last week in August. Like we know times when there are fewer people around. And we possibly could even still allow people into the Main Street building. I mean, we might be able to offer limited use.
You could just do side door service. You guys
because-
are great at that now, right?
Right, right.
Well, yeah, we could do side door service, or we could, but the youth room would still be available. The only thing is, like, there might be smell from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the point. I think it's something to keep in mind that if the
Yeah.
libraries, and I thought about that too when I saw something in there about changing lights and so they're bringing in like a lift to do
Yeah.
it. It's a perfect time to do it now. There's nobody
Right.
there. You know what I mean? So just muzzled whatever we can do that's budgeted to get, where it's going to be the least inconvenience for
Right.
patrons when no one's there.
The two paperback alcoves have been recarpeted. And that we did as soon as we could figure out how to get somebody. It was because it was real COVID, nobody was working. And once they got a plan in place, we worked with health departments and everything to figure out when they could come in. The emergency manager helped me with that. And there were no patrons. So, they opened windows, they did what they had to do. They were there by themselves. That worked out well. But those were small areas. This is bigger.
All right. That's all that's on the agenda. I know that you said that they had sent over the MOU from the Friends.
Everybody read that MOU?
I haven't seen it. Is it the
haven't
same one
seen
that
it.
we have? I haven't looked at it. I've
No,
seen
this,
it, but I haven't
this
looked at it.
appears to be their own draft.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, their own draft. Okay.
I compared it to, I think what we can do is take the month to read it. If you have any comments on it, send them to me and I'll incorporate that into a new draft that you can look at in March.
Okay.
I mean, I've got a few comments. Maybe we should kind of bat that around before March, or I don't know what you
Sure.
want for
Sure.
a timeline on that.
Sure, if you read it and you had something.
No, I'm good now, but I mean, there'll be some correspondence, I assume, once everybody looks at it. And maybe we should kind of square up a little correspondence between all of us before we reply to this. Is that what, are we supposed to respond to this or submit
No.
another draft?
No, and we'll want it to be in a public meeting. So I had sent, you remember the one that I sent?
Yes.
Okay. And then it appears that they looked at a different library, San
Right.
Jose, maybe. And they used that as a template for what they were going to agree to, which I thought looked fine. So it's kind of the trustees section. There were a couple of things that I thought might want to be a little different, but for the most part, it was okay. But I think there might be a couple of things that you want to tweak or add. And if there's anything
Or
that
delete?
the friends are agreeing to that you think could potentially be, not in everyone's best interest, we could make amendments and then pass it back to the friends.
Yeah. So why don't we do that? Then why don't we put it on the agenda for next month's discussion? If you have comments, send them to Catherine. Only Catherine. Don't discuss them amongst anybody else. Don't send a reply all email to everybody else with your changes or anything on it. Send to Catherine. She'll incorporate them, and then we can have a discussion about it on the next meeting. And you
Yeah,
can
so
send out a draft.
anything you send will all be on the same document, and you'll be able to, we'll be able to edit that in real time.
Did she sent it as a Word, so we can write, there was, I think,
Oh, is it a Word document? Okay.
Yeah, yep.
All right. That sounds good. Anything else from anybody?
Good.
Going once,
Are
twice.
we-
All right.
Oh, just real quick, where any change since last month on reopening plan or? To ask.
There isn't and there is.
Okay.
I'm getting more anxious because, it seems like everything's working smoothly. And the things that I've heard from, the experts say, expect this to happen, those things have been happening. So the slow rollout is supposed to really start to roll, which means March and April, we could really see some vaccination action. So I can't tell when everything's going to happen, but what we're doing now is looking at the logistics of how we would do things. And what I'm looking at now is finding a way, everybody's eyes get kind of big when I say this, but I want to find a way to do regular service most days of the week, and then 1 or 2 days a week, just do side door. We can't do them at the same time. So if we did side door service on Saturday, that would accommodate people who are working, who would be able to just pick up. And it would also probably mitigate that one day when you tend to have too many people in the building at the same time. And so we could possibly do Saturday and Monday as pickup days, and then the rest of the week would be open, just as we had always been. So I'm talking to other libraries.
Just as we'd always been has a lot of connotations.
I know.
Would that be bringing back like story times and all that?
So
kind of
that's, I'm talking to other libraries to see how they're doing that. And some things like story times, I would have to talk to Ruth Clay, and I would need more advice on that.
So, I mean,
And I would even want her in the building to see, like, the story time is held in a room with no windows.
right.
I don't think we can do that. But if we're going back in the summer, do we do story time on the plaza?
I mean, would we be looking for some kind of protocol from the town or the state as to what actually, or Ruth, as to what this is supposed to look like?
Yeah,
To
I
keep
think
everybody happy?
I think the state might help us a little bit, because I know we will still all have to wear masks. So I'm assuming that it will go pretty similar to what's at town hall, that we'll have a greeter with the machine. There'll be lots of hand sanitizer available. And from everyone I'm talking to, we would have to limit time. So you could come in and browse and get your books and do it in the building, but you wouldn't be able to stay for more than an hour. I don't know if that will change. Oh, like I said, we'll have to talk to.
Because when you walk in town hall, if you haven't done it, it's a little cumbersome. They take your temperature.
Right.
You're socially distanced going in. And then they ask you who you want to see. So I envision a protocol saying, well, I'm only going to go to nonfiction. You've got 10 minutes to be there.
Right. So
don't go anywhere else because you signed in as this.
Right. But the difference is going to be that we're not going to do this until we reach a point in vaccination where it's safe to do it. So if the most vulnerable among us are vaccinated, and you're lessening your chances of serious illness, and you are accommodating the people who can't or choose not to come in by providing side door, the people who do want to come in, particularly if they're vaccinated, and if the staff is vaccinated, I think when you're vaccinated, it's still not 100%. It's just protecting you a little bit. But I think that it's enough protection that with a mask and with things in place, you could walk around the building. I mean,
Staff.
Well, I think even patrons too.
Okay.
It's just you'd have to try to watch how many people are in the building at a time. You can only have, I think you can only have so many people.
Well, that's the greeter's job.
Right, right.
Yeah, I mean, like at Target, a couple clickers to, 5 in, 2 out kind of thing to keep track of how many are in there.
Yeah,
And
well, we get kind of a lot of doors going in and out. So it's the logistics of that we're trying to figure out how you would do that and how you would, how do you accommodate people who, I think we'll get to the point where people will feel like they're back to normal and it won't really be back to normal. So can people sit in the magazine room for the day? I don't think that's going to be likely for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think people realize the logistical challenges that you
That's
have.
a
If
logistical
you, yeah, you have, there's one in,
and a
one way
half.
out. You have one-way path
Right.
in, one-way path out.
Right.
If you're limiting people at an hour, how do you know that, person one came in and where they're going, and then they're touching every book and every shelf, and you're not monitoring that. So then, they have to be
No.
sanitized. Everything they touch has to be sanitized. You touch on the counter, they pull one book off, they put another book back in. You limit, you limit the spaces, rope everything off, and I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that it's a lot of effort, and you don't want people. And the purpose that people want to go there is just they want to stay and hang out, but they can't do that. I mean,
Right.
so until you get
So
to a
there's-
point where you're allowed to stay for 4 hours or something or more, it seems to me that's going to be the challenge.
Right.
Who's open around us?
Well, they
Woburn, Reading?
keep opening and closing. Reading is open, and I realized when I looked at the website, open doesn't really mean very much. There's a limited number of computers, and there's very limited things you can do. So you have to sign up and make an appointment. So it is open, but there aren't that many people that they accommodate at a single time, and
Right.
that's why they're open. And given the amount of space they have, the fact that it's still as limited as it is, they are able to do. I think they're able to do curbside and having people in the building. Maybe not exactly simultaneously, but they can do it. Whereas it's harder for us to do it because we'd have to move the entire operation, and that seems to be a problem.
Catherine, where do the librarians fall in vaccination? Would they be at the same time as teachers, or they're not really listed?
We don't know. There's something that I got online today. There's a group of unions. I think it's a teachers union and a whole bunch of unions. Firefighters maybe were in there. I don't know why. But it was for teachers and librarians to be in one of the categories, to be listed in a category.
I thought the teachers were going to be moved up to the next level of the current phase, which would be really people work with the public, retail, and
right.
I thought they were going to be moved up to that.
Teachers and childcare workers are in the next, whenever they open the next round, which is phase 2, group 3.
Yeah.
That's when that is. So, and the other guidance we've gotten maybe is that they're not going to check that if you go and you say that I'm been told I'm allowed to get a vaccine, then they'll give you a vaccine.
Yeah, they're not gonna say where's your library.
Well, it's the same with comorbidities right now. Nobody's saying, that you have COPD or proof that you have.
But you have to sign that says this is why, and so it's your own conscience apparently.
Yeah.
But I think it is the next level of this phase. So I don't know, good or bad. Still will take a while, but it is moved up.
So besides Reading, have you seen anywhere else?
Woburn was open.
Was Beverly?
Beverly has been open. I use their model a lot because they're kind of like us. Yes, Beverly's been open, and she has, logistically, they have an easier way to do it. But her model is one that I would sort of try to copy. Linfield has been open, and again, it's by appointment, and there's only so many people at a time. But I think the population is relatively small. So
Camp
that,
Wakefield.
yeah, so they've been able to sort of manage that. But they do probably do more curbside. I know they still do curbside. So it's just that as everything changes, I feel like I've been thinking about this for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything changes so fast, and people are going to have expectations as soon as it changes. So you kind of have to be ready. It's like having a toddler. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? We'll just be prepared for it, whatever happens. And plus, we want to see people in the building again. It's meant to have people in the building. And so when spring comes, you can open windows. There's going to be lots of advantages. It's just that you've got a population that is not easy to control. It's not like the school where you say, everyone get in line, everybody put their mask on, you can't do the teacher thing. It's kind of Wild West when you open the door. So
Right.
it has to be kind of self-explanatory too. It has to make sense to people. I'm hoping that they get rid of the quarantine. I'm hoping we can stop doing the quarantine and just tell everybody, this is a book multiple people have handled. It's always been a little bit of a crapshoot. So, just take into consideration that just like everything you touch, when you go to a restaurant, when you go anywhere else, you want to keep your hands away from your face. So maybe if we do some education around it, and but I think people are going to feel like, why can't we come in if a portion of us are vaccinated?
Yeah.
So-
I was just looking at Greensboro, North Carolina, which I'm from North Carolina. I have a lot of friends down there, and or it might have been Virginia, because my father-in-law is a trustee in Virginia at their library. And one of them was doing this like grab and go service, kind of 30 minutes at a time, like an appointment, not quite supermarket sweep style, but you sign up and they're still doing curbside or side door service. And it was only maybe 2 days a week where they allowed people to come in and just, browse. Because I understand there's the quarantine, but at the same time, I keep thinking I can go to Target and touch everything. So, and I think that's a lot of the perception, and I'm getting asked that probably most of you guys are like, why
Yeah.
can you touch the groceries and not touch the books?
Well, it's on the government's website that the books are subject. I think now it's a 24-hour quarantine. So somewhere that's what the science said, that this was, it really holds it. And if people are taking it out and taking it home and bringing it back, and it lasts for 6 days, then there's a good chance when you pick that up, it's on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
So early on, when they didn't know a lot about it, that became the thing that everybody was very, very frightened of, that they were concerned about. You're circulating things among a population that could possibly be ill and not show any symptoms. So everything kind of took on a life of its own. So this might be a little bit of a residual from that, and maybe we will be able, it is down to 24 hours now. So that's what I was saying, maybe if we can eliminate that, that would help logistically, because it's virtually impossible to do curbside and browsing at the same time with the same materials, because of the way it works in the catalog and everything. People would be putting stuff on hold, and they wouldn't get it because somebody else had taken it, and it would cross in it gets a little, you're looking at how's it going to work for people to actually get what they need. But when you hit the point where people can come in a lot, and that lessens the number of items that we have to bag, that would make a difference. And if it gets to the point where we find a way to do like an inside pickup, so maybe it's not even a curbside pickup, But you can come in, pick up your holds, check them out yourself on a self-serve. Some people might be happy with that because it's a quick entry, it's a quick in and out.
Mhm.
So those, we might have 3 things going on at the same time. I don't know.
Catherine, have you considered or have you ruled out the town hall model where they're open to the public only for, in our town hall's case, just the morning, 8:30 to 12:30? And then they do service via phone or email the rest of the day?
Yeah, the biggest problem we're having is that we can't figure out the logistics to do curbside and inside at the same time, because the books are being picked up by librarians, and they're all on the main floor. So people would come in, we only have one door that's accessible.
Right.
So people would come in and we'd have to move the work area in a way that people could browse. So I think it makes the most sense to actually have more browsing and less
Pickup.
that it would work a little bit easier that way. And
Yeah, but Cindy, the town hall model, you've got to tell them where you're going.
Yes, that as well. But it's still only open unless they've changed it recently in the past 2 weeks. It was only
It's
open
almost
till 12:30
counterintuitive.
for
You're going to the
walk-in.
library, I'm going to tell you where I'm going.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is with town hall is the library is transactional as well, but for the most part, people aren't going to town hall to linger or to
Right.
set up
Yeah.
shop for the day. So, and there's, I don't know what the places are doing, but like you just in some ways have to, if we don't want people there for extended periods of time, you have to make it a little less like take away some chairs, block off chairs, things like that. So there's, it's a mix of things that would have to happen. But I think, Catherine, to like your original point, there's that reopening with the understanding that, you're trying to do it in the safest way possible for everyone, staff, patrons, everyone. But people, once you reopen, there's going to be an expectation that you're open and everything's back at full capacity. So that's kind of where the communication and education comes in, that we may be open for these services, but maybe programs continue to be online or whatever.
Yeah.
Until the next, I think even once we reopen, there's maybe phases within that.
Yeah. I think phases too.
Catherine, we work with a couple groups that have been doing outdoor playtimes and toddler story times, and it's worked really well. So even if you were on like the upper common area and done that, but they've been doing it even through the winter out in the snow. So
Kids probably like it better, actually. Like
yeah, when you get that one loud kid, they just run away. And then go to story time, right?
because there's one in every crowd.
Upper Common would be great to do like a springtime out on the grass story time.
They've done it before. They've done story times on the common before.
Yeah.
Um,
Or at the lake. I don't know.
Gray used to do them, Gray Sawyer years ago. Yeah, so there are some options for that. Kids are actually probably the easiest to accommodate, because all of their programs are short time periods too. You can have a child in the library for 30 minutes. And it's or 2 different events at 30 minutes each. They're there for an hour, they're done. So.
I think if you take the train table away, my toddler will rebel against you.
Train table. What do we do about the train table? Yeah, I mean, think of it. Those trains go in kids' mouths and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody gets their own train.
It's hard to put a train in your mouth with a mask on, so
That's
maybe it's a little
true.
bit safer now.
That's true.
They'll find a way.
That's true. I think a lot's going to rest on the mask. If you have a mask on, that, and if everybody that comes in has to have a mask, that's going to take care of a lot of issues. So anybody who's walking around, they're not necessarily breathing full load of potential COVID.
think that could be the next item for the Friends merchandise table is a BB logo mask.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
I'd buy one.
that would be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, for that update. I realized that it was under the acceptance of the monthly staff reports, phase service plan updates. I missed it on the agenda, so I
Yeah,
apologize.
That's okay.
So thank you, Amy, for bringing that up. I apologize.
I get asked like every few days.
I know, I know.
No, I know.
Well, I'm
You
sure
know,
that we're getting, and
anybody who
again,
wa- Anybody
I-
who wants to call me or email me, Amy, really tell them to, because, sometimes they might have ideas or they might tell me something that I hadn't thought of. And it's always good to get a sense of where people are coming from.
Yeah.
What their expectations are. Why do you have that expectation,
Most of the comments I'm hearing are people with kids even younger than mine. It's the moms with the young kids who miss going there. The days when preschool is not in session, when you're only in school. I don't even know what the hours for preschool are these days. They miss the morning story time. They miss, just going in, and my kids miss sitting and picking out books and that sort of thing. And I know there's grab bags. I know there's side door service, but it's that young group that's, mine are old enough where they're both checking books out on Hoopla or Libby. I don't even know what they're doing. I don't, but the younger ones that really want that tactile experience of a picture book, those are the moms that I hear from the most.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Dads too.
That's Jackie,
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And I know as my kids personally, I know those of you who have young kids, my kids, I think, are zoomed out. So I don't know if you're seeing a decline in the story times at all, or the online, crafts with Casey or any of that, but my kids are kind of over, in the beginning, like Mo Williams was doing the drawing time or story time, stuff like that. And now it's just it's a year, they're done.
No, I know. I think even adults are.
Oh yeah. I don't know if it's just, part of the overall fatigue is we want to see people again. I've been, if you're a friend of me on Facebook, I've been volunteering at some of the vaccine clinics, and it's the elderly population mostly that we've seen. And it's like social hour. There was a woman at one of the ones in Melrose, you have to be observed for 15 minutes afterwards. And she said, "Can I just stay for a while? Do I have to leave?" People haven't seen their friends in a while.
I know.
Today, I was phone banking today to reschedule some of the people from Monday, and everybody I talked to, it was like a little 20-minute phone chat.
So our next meeting is outside on the bandstand?
We can meet 6 feet apart outside. I would love to have a meeting in person.
Who has a fire pit?
Yeah,
Well, it might not be cold.
yeah. We have to invite the public, though. That's the only thing, if you don't mind that. All's
What
welcome.
happened?
Ready to
Everyone's welcome.
Imagine, oh yeah, see that, it's an open meeting, so the whole public comes just because they can. They want, who's
We
gonna
could
be
in
on the
we could
plaza?
be in person and they could be in Zoom.
Yeah. We could call it Blossoms. I'm just
That's
saying.
right. There you go.
All right. Anything further?
Okay.
Thank
I
you all.
I have a question for Amy.
Yeah.
Did your friend pull papers?
No, not yet. I don't know if she's going to or not. But
Okay.
I had someone who was interested. I know you've said that you were not. I did pull papers and turned in my signatures. So vote for
And-
me.
Right. Keith has pulled his papers. I had someone who had put his name in when we were appointing 2 years ago, just contacted me last week. He'd seen an email that he hadn't responded to, because he'd been busy about something else. And we had a little chat, and I said, that it was time for pulling papers if he was still interested, because I had called the town clerk's office that day and happened to have checked to see if anyone had pulled papers besides you and Keith. And she hadn't as of yet. I think that was late last week. I can't remember right now. And I haven't heard back from him, and I haven't seen you posting anything. So
Yeah. I don't know where she stands on it, if it's something she's still considering or.
okay.
Yeah, there's another week. I think you have until the 5th.
Right.
To get them right. So if anybody wants to get in touch with me, and anybody who watches this later, if anybody wants any information, I'm happy to, I don't know what I'll say, but
Yeah.
whatever you want to know.
I'll tell my friend that you're available for questions if he wants to. I don't know I don't know what he's thinking right now.
Who else is up for re-election?
Me.
Okay.
Amy, Kevin, and me. Yep. So,
All right. Anything else? Going once, going twice? Nothing further. I'll take a motion to. I forget now. I can't think of the word.
adjourn.
Adjourn. Thank you. Good God. I say
Adjourn.
end the meeting, but it's okay.
You're
What's the
zoomed
formal
out.
word? Adjourn.
You're zoomed out.
I know, zoomed out. Okay.
You want to
Motion to adjourn.
move?
Second.
All right. Go around the horn. Amy. all those
Aye.
in favor? Susan.
Aye.
Laura.
Aye.
Cindy.
Aye.
Adam.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye. Bye.
Tim.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
All right. Thanks all very much. The meeting
Great,
is
thank
adjourned.
you.